Now you're welcome back to Team 33. It's Enda here with Colin, Boohig and Ciaran Bradley on the line. We're talking about the Euros now, and we're going to be selecting our England Euros 11. I know that sounds a little bit dirty for an Irish radio station to be doing, but Ciaran is English, so we're going to be pandering to him and pandering to the Premier League fans now over the next half an hour or so while we finish off the show. So we're going to be selecting the 11 that we would pick for Gareth Southgate. So there's a lot of choices here, lads. This is probably the strongest England squad there's been in a long time. Whatever you want to say about Gareth Southgate, this is exciting for an England fan. If you're looking at this team, you're looking at years of rebuilding their structure, so they're getting away from the British style of football. They're creative, they're attacking, they're fluid going forward. And Ciaran, I suppose I'll let you have the first word here, because this you should be excited as an England fan watching this team.
Yeah, I am. And you say about the rebuilding thing, because as far as I'm aware, I think it was around 2008 after they kind of capitulated in the qualification for the Euros that the FA took the decision to kind of have a look at what the Spanish were doing, particularly at that time, and change and become a little bit more technically minded. And if you look at the likes of Phil Foden and Reece James and Kyle Saka and various coming through, this is the generation that is the culmination of that. So it's very interesting. As was said ad nauseam during the World Cup as well, they do seem like a reasonably nice bunch, like a likeable bunch of sort of son-in-laws. So it'll be nice to get on board with people who aren't doing any number of despicable things, as has been the case with England squads in the past. There's a real sense of youth, and Tomo, when he was on with Joe last night, just said it really well, that like he's looking forward to Qatar, and I think his main point is like it'll just be nice to see this kind of squad develop and mould itself, and hopefully Southgate will be there, having had a good tournament as well. There's a lot of really likable players, even from clubs that that you wouldn't necessarily kind of have that affinity for. But the likes of Saka, I love to see. Reece James has been, superb this season. So, yeah, I'm very excited. Today I'm English, right? As soon as the Ireland games roll around, I'll be Irish again. Is the sort of national glory hunter zone.
No, well, that's it. So I think it's kind of hilarious that England have this amazing group of players and they decide to select their manager Gareth Southgate, the most boring manager of all time, who's so like conservative. I almost want Pep Guardiola to be in charge of this side, so he just goes gung-ho and throws every single forward player that they have at the team. Although he has selected 4 right backs, so I mean they're going to be right heavy at least, and none of them are particularly good at defending. So Colm, let's start with your team then. I give Ciaran the first word. So what formation are you going for with this team? So there's tons of players to select from here. What formation are you going for?
I'm going for 5-3-2 formation, as you've both seen already. Sent on the graph that I made. So it's 5-3-2 in writing, but actually it's really inspired by Antonio Conte's 2016-17 Chelsea side, and it's a 3-4-3 in reality. But I'll read it out as the 5-3-2. So on goal, it was, you're talking 51-49 just in favour of Jordan Pickford for me, just over Dean Henderson.
I'm disgusted in you. I'm disgusted in you. Do you know what? There's a national shortage of goalkeepers for Sunday League football right now, and I don't think our team would take Jordan Pickford at this point.
That's a populist comment. That's a ridiculous comment. You'll get like Matt LeBlanc and Pipe Man being like, "Oh, too right," and then being like, "Stop." The recency bias here. Yeah, okay. Pickford hasn't been great for a while.
He's shite, is what he is. I'm not even beating around the bush.
Of a show, there's no need for that. I would just have Pickford over Henderson because I would fear from England's point of view. I don't care. But I would fear from England's point of view that Henderson might battle it a bit on the biggest stage, just 1% more than Pickford will, because Pickford has been. Pickford got to the semi-final of the World Cup as the goalkeeper. So I would, for that reason alone, I would have Pickford. And there has been examples of the past in international tournaments, at World Cups, at Euros, where out-of-form club players have brilliant tournaments. So that's what I would just go for Pickford, but I would have gone for Pope had he been fit. So Pickford just gets in. So my back three, I'm going for a back three, which is inspired by Gareth Southgate, tactical genius, that he went for the back three at the World Cup last time, and I think that's the best way to utilize the creative players in the team, but also hide the weakness, and the weakness of England is in defence. So my three centre halves are John Stones, who's admittedly had a very good season alongside Ruben Diaz. I'm going to have Harry Maguire, who is the most awkward-looking, brilliant player in my opinion. Maguire's a brilliant player, and he gets a lot of the blame at Manchester United, and I really don't think he deserves it. And alongside them, I would have the converted international centre back of Kyle Walker. But I mean, Walker can do a job in goal for you, so he can do a job as a third centre half. And his remarkable pace alone, his recovery pace, it rivals like Micah Richards' the best recovery pace I've ever seen in the Premier League. And Walker may not have the best positional awareness in the world, but his recovery alone would nudge me just to put him in the team. The left wing back, I put Ben Chilwell ahead of Luke Shaw, which is relatively close, but I think Chilwell's riding high in the Champions League success. He had a good game in the final. So again, I would just have him over Shaw. There's a lot of really marginal calls. Right wing back for me was a no-brainer in Trent Alexander-Arnold. I can't believe there was a possibility that he wasn't going to be in the squad. Kieran Trippier's had a brilliant season. Fair play to Trippier for going out to Spain in the first place after he had a brutal last season with Spurs in 2018-19 after the success of the World Cup. And went out to Spain, played in a very difficult team to play in with Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid, and they've just won the league for the first time since 2014, and Trippier was central to that, so fair play to him. But I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best right back or right wing back, whatever you want to call him, in the world, just because of his delivery alone. His delivery is by far the best in football since David Beckham's. I'd have him in the team for that. Don't mind about his lack of defence. There's three centre-backs behind him. Right wing back, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Midfield, I'm going with Declan Rice. He's probably not going to be fully fit, but I'd have a just off it Rice over a just off it Henderson. So that's why I put Rice in there. Alongside him, I'm going to go Jude Bellingham. If you're good enough, you're old enough, lads. So I wouldn't worry about his relative inexperience. He's well used to the big games of Borussia Dortmund. I know that it's suffocating playing for England in major tournaments by all accounts, but I would say that Bellingham is probably just that sweet spot of being so young that type of doubt and cynicism maybe hasn't crept into his mind yet. Now, this tournament will probably ruin him psychologically forever, but I would certainly start him there. And then ahead of them, I would have Mason Mount. I think that's a no-brainer just because of how brilliant he's been with Chelsea. Frank Lampard's fine, of course, but Tuchel took him on another level again. And I was actually a bit of a Mount doubter before, and not just because Lampard brought him in the whole English preference in the media. I thought he's okay, and then I thought, no, he's last 6 months, and this guy's superb. And I'd have obviously Harry Kane as the spearhead, and then either side, just next to Harry Kane, I'd have Phil Foden, who I would have in the team just ahead of Jack Grealish, and also Jadon Sancho is quite unlucky to miss out. But I'm going to go with my width with Chilwell and Alexander-Arnold. They have all the work to do in my width because I'm trying to get the most amount of good players in the centre, and I still miss out on some excellent players. So that's my team. Yeah.
I think Bellingham's
so
a good
just sorry, good.
On Bellingham, the fact that he's too young. I mean, Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney announced themselves on the European platform with England, so I think Bellingham is liable to do that as well.
What are you saying there, Ciaran?
I was just going to say, like, Foden fresh out of the frying pan of Pep Guardiola shifting him where he doesn't want to be, to Boohig sticking him up top with Kane.
No, he's not up top. It's a 3-4-3, as I said. So he's playing in that beautiful free roll, no man's land Zinchenko. What am I doing out here? But further up the pitch, and he'll be looking across to his buddy Mason and be like, "What are you doing?" And he'll be like, "I don't know, beats me." But we'll have some fun with it and get loose with it, and that's what.
So it's this, it's nice. It's this kind of freeform jazz with like Boohig on the touchline with his trumpet. It's amazing. What a lovely little bit of music.
I'll have Julian Nagelsmann first half of this season fashion on the sideline. I'll be like, just fun with it, guys. It's fine. Declan's back there. It's great.
Right. Before we move on to my team, then, Ciaran, Colin, what's your managerial sideline look? Then, are you going tracksuit? Are you going suit? Are you going well dressed, or what's the crack?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think about it every other day.
Are you shaving your hair? Are you getting a haircut?
No, because there's a lack of long-haired managers. So I probably have that. I'd probably be a hands in the pockets manager with. I could probably look back into the bench every so often, like, have you seen this? And I'd probably be a standing up guy, and I'd say I'd go for the slim fit tracksuit. I think, but not one of those baggy outfits. Now, like it's slim fit tracksuit. I think, yeah.
Ciaran, rate his England team out of 10 then, if you're an England fan.
I like that team. Yeah, I would go for let's totally.
No. I didn't tell you to tell me your team. I said to rate his team because we're going to do your team last.
Oh, I know I was. Yeah, I totally arbitrary 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10. That's pretty decent. Let's move on to my team then.
What do you think, Enda? What do you think?
I would go. I'd probably go about.
I would just do it a bit different. You're almost right.
I give it about 7 out of 10. I'm not having Jack Grealish not on the bench, and
he's on the bench.
Or not on the starting team. Sorry, Jack Grealish should be starting in the team, and I think Chilwell shouldn't be starting. I don't think he's at Luke Shaw's level of this season. But hey, he's a good player. Listen, it's a good team. It's a pretty good team. But is it as good as this team? I'm going with a 4-1-3-2 style formation. It's almost sort of like a Christmas tree formation if you look at it that way. So Henderson starts in goals, obviously, because he's the starting goalkeeper for the second best team in England, or the team at least to finish second in the Premier League, and not Jordan Pickford. The back four is Luke Shaw at left back, Maguire at left centre back, because you've got that partnership already there. It makes sense. Luke Shaw obviously transformed his career as well. John Stones is the right centre back, and that is the side I'm worried about. So bear with me. And Trent Alexander-Arnold as the right back. So obviously there's some issues there. John Stones, is he good enough to do it on him by himself? Because Trent's going to be out of the picture. Then that's the question mark over my team, I think. But Declan Rice, who's playing as the base of the midfield, he should be doing a lot of that heavy lifting as well. So if John Stones has to shift out to right back, then Declan Rice will be falling back into that centre back position. And I've gone gung-ho. I've picked a team that I think will score loads of goals. Will they win the tournament? They might not, but they'll play brilliant football. Then the midfielders are Jack Grealish on the left, Mount in the middle, because like you, one of them, I was a Mount doubter and he has proved me badly wrong. And then Jadon Sancho as the right winger. Then kind of like what you were saying with Foden, not quite up front, but playing that sort of free roaming role beside Harry Kane up front. And I think you got bags of goals in that team.
What are you wearing on the sideline?
On the sideline, I'm a Pep Guardiola man. I'm not Pep Guardiola in the last couple of years because I think he's let himself go a little bit, which is partly down to some of the football they've been playing. But the sort of black slim chinos with the black runners and a grey jumper, maybe a nice grey fitting jumper, or a nice t-shirt of some sort, something slick but not a suit.
And are you worried about Declan Rice's well-being?
Oh God, no! I picked it. I don't care if they're fit or not. This is just hypothetical.
No. I mean, the burden of responsibility on Declan.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. He's captain material.
The tactical burden on him. I mean, the rest of the team, they're gone. He's in the pub and they're in the nightclub. They're a few hours ahead of him, and he's I have to buy all this drink myself. It's too much for any man. Even N'Golo would question you.
No, you see, it doesn't matter because if the other team scores 3 goals, we're going to score 4 goals.
I think you're sabotaging the team on purpose because it's England, personally.
Name me a better attacking lineup than that. That's creativity all over the shop.
It's
you don't want to end up with fried rice. Do you know what I mean? That's disgraceful. Shut up. All right, come on. Are we coming on to mine then, or what? You can't call me a town for the entire year and just leave me last.
Well, I don't believe I use that terminology on the show. But I mean, if you want to call yourself that, you can call yourself that. I mean, that's a self-title from this perspective. But so right then, come on then, England man. What is your England starting team of the Euros?
I love throwing you off key there. All right, so we got a big Hendo in goal because apparently England only deal in busy goalkeepers nowadays. So he's the marginally less busy of the two.
Can I add annoyingly like cocky as well for the relative to their talent.
So hard Euro 2012.
Oh, yeah. Between Hart, Pickford, and Henderson, like the levels of self-delusion, it's astonishing. All right, so first of all, I've gone for like a kind of rough 3-4-3 formation, mainly because I think that's kind of what Southgate's going to go for. So, left centre back Harry Maguire. He's obviously his importance to Manchester United has become very apparent over the last few weeks, in particular. John Stones, the centre of the three, insofar as he can kind of step out into midfield. The good thing with this is like Maguire can step out into midfield, Stones can step out into midfield. So basically, there's a lot of onus on Reece James, who's the last third centre back. So he's already playing out of position, and he's going to be covering for these two roaming centre backs that are overlapping in a kind of Chris Wilder style. So we've got Maguire, Stones, and James. Left wing back / left back is Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's had a really fantastic season, and I think the only question that Southgate will really have is how many minutes are in the legs between Shaw and Chilwell. That's a pretty close call, I think, for the manager. The same thing with Rice here at defensive midfield. Like, he's going to be shouldering a lot of the burden. I think Southgate might opt for having even like a Calvin Phillips in there alongside Rice as well, and he might shed one of these forwards, which is frustrating. I think it's been quite frustrating in watching the qualifying. Right wing back / right back is Trent as well. Trent was, he had a really poor start to the season, but he certainly salvaged it in the last few months. So ahead of Rice, in the middle, I've got Grealish in a fairly open roaming role, probably in and around the centre and left of the front third. On the left, I've got Phil Foden playing where he can play a lot of the time for City. I think this really could be Foden's breakout tournament. Like, he's something else. Like, he's a freak, really. And like, I think if you're looking for the kind of the symbol of England's renaissance in terms of how they've changed their structures and changed their training at youth level, like, Phil Foden may well be it, because he's a combination of just raw talent, and he's obviously got a great manager at club level, and he's been honed really, really well. On the right, I've got Sancho. I think Sancho's speed and close control will be really important for England, and Harry Kane up top. So, yeah, it's there's some close calls in there. Obviously, I know you guys have gone for Mount. I just love watching Jack Grealish. I just like he I think every club that has aspirations of winning the Premier League, Champions League would be looking at Grealish. He's just so loose. Like, but he's also got that drive. He's got the technique. He's got everything. I just think he's wonderful to watch. So he hasn't quite caught fire for England yet. And obviously, look, I know that neither of you are going to want to talk about Grealish in an England shirt, and it doesn't really sit that well with me. But I really hope he has a good tournament, and it'll be really interesting to see how they work out.
No, when it gets to these major tournaments, like, obviously I don't want England to win it, but I just look for great football. That's all I want. It's a summer of football. It's a festival of football. Anybody who entertains me and has a spark about him is going to be getting going in my good books for the European Championship. So I do think Grealish is one of those players as well. So does Phil Thompson, who thinks that Grealish could be like the Gaza for this England squad, which, I mean, he's not far off in terms of, he's got the look already anyway, so he may as well bring the style. That is the European Championship sorted for 1 week at least. I think over the next couple of weeks we might start talking about the Euros even more, and maybe doing a deep dive on some of the teams, because obviously we're getting closer and closer to the major tournaments. So hopefully we will have an entertaining one. Colin and Ciaran, thanks for joining me this evening.
Cheers, boys.